just a couple bad weather fans representing New York, talking all things sports. Man, what could go wrong? We got Alex, who's a fan of the Knicks, and Mike of the Nets. The yin-yang of the tri-state, place your bets on the Yankees, Giants, Mets, or Jets. Yeah, you should listen if it's sparking your interest. If you made a vow to your team, don't break it. Bad weather fans is the relation.
That's right. This is Bad Weather Fans, episode number 101. Mike Biseglia, Alex Benezowitz. The Brooklyn Nets lose. The New York Knicks lose. The Nets now the number 4 seed in the Eastern Conference. They're 29-19 after their loss to the Denver Nuggets in Brooklyn, while the Knicks, they're still the 11 seed, 23-26. Just got their ass kicked by the Miami Heat in Miami. If you've heard this podcast, you know my feelings of the Miami Heat. I think they're really good.
Yes,
Alex, a lot to talk about. Oh yeah, Harden, that thing. Durant's out. How are you doing?
Not too good, man. That game sucked. You know, it's tough, man. Randle played poorly. Everybody played poorly. You know, it was one of those games where it just didn't click, and there were no adjustments, and then you lose by 100 points. That's what happens to the best team in the East.
Yeah,
so that's how it goes.
Knicks get their ass kicked. Nets hang in there versus the Nuggets, and a lot of James Harden Nets news that we will talk about in a minute. That I'm not excited to talk about, but it has to be discussed.
And our special guest,
Anthony Donahue, will join us. Mr. Nick, you know him. He's one of the original Nick content creators. I think everybody's going to really enjoy our interview with him. We'll have a lot of fun with that. And we already did the interview, so I will say this. He did say one thing Nets related. He kind of tickled my heart a little bit, Alex.
We went into some Nets talk, some New Jersey Nets, some good Nets talk in there. He's a true historian of local basketball or NBA altogether. You know, he really knows his stuff.
And before all of that fun, we do want to mention that if you've seen on Twitter, the Bad Weather Fans podcast has its first official sponsor. So thank you to DraftKings. We are super excited to have them on board. Pretty proud of it, pretty excited about it, Alex. And I want to tell people that DraftKings Sportsbook is officially live in New York State with mobile sports betting just in time for the football playoffs. And as everybody knows, last week's playoffs were bananas, Bananas. Those were some wild football games. Right now, you can place a bet from anywhere in New York with DraftKings Sportsbook, including from the comfort of your couch, which is where I sit a lot. To add to the excitement, DraftKings is giving new customers a special offer that you do not want to miss. Bet just $5 on any playoff game and win $280 in free bets if your team is victorious. The wait is finally over. Head to the DraftKings Sportsbook app. Now check out all of the DraftKings great promotions and features, including same-game parlays. The parlays are fun because you can do a little bit of this, a little bit of that, put it together. Next thing you know, who knows? But have some fun with it. Combine multiple bets from the same game for a bigger payout. The more legs you add, the more money you can win. DraftKings is safe, secure, and reliable. Best of all, you can deposit and withdraw cash whenever you want. And of course, download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use the promo code BWF. BWF for Bad Weather Fans. Yes, Alex, I was going to get to that. I think people, I don't think that BWF is thinking Bad Winter Fahrenheit. You know, that's not what we are. Okay, make sure you go know that. Use the promo code and get 56-1 odds on any team. Bet just $5, win $280 in free bets if your team wins. That's promo code BWF this week at DraftKings Sportsbook. Eligibility restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for full details. Must be 21 and over and physically present in New York. Gambling problem? Call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 4, and that's 467-369. BWF. Thank you to DraftKings.
Yeah. You know who's a DraftKing? Do you know who is a DraftKing, Mike?
Durant.
Leon Rose is a DraftKing at the end of the draft.
Oh, stop it. Knicks suck, Alex. Knicks suck.
Grimes, Emmanuel
Knicks
quickly.
Suck. Let's just be real. Here's me being real. Knicks suck.
Sean Marks is a draft king too, though. He's a draft king.
He's done well.
He finds his gems.
So the James Harden thing.
Yeah.
First off, before we talk hoops, to do the off
Before we talk real
stuff,
hoops, yeah.
like this is the part that boggles my mind about people being worried in one set of references. First of all, I'm all concerned about this season. I want the Nets to win a title. They are in their time. They are in this little bubble where they can win a championship. What happens with Harden down the line? Very important. But in the moment, that's what I'm thinking about. And that's what I'm caring about. That's what my passion is for this team. I want them to win a title. And I love people that are like, can you believe Harden is disappointed that Kyrie Irving's a part-time player? Which Nets fan is watching the game and is not disappointed he's a part-time player? It doesn't mean that James Harden does not dislike Kyrie Irving. Like, here's an example, okay? Let's say, Alex, you and I are doing a podcast, and every third episode, Dolan J. Trump fills in for me. Okay, it would still be good. It wouldn't be as good. You guys would still have fun. It would still be a good time. But would you be disappointed at me that I say, Alex, I miss every third episode because I don't want to be, for whatever reason, I can't be there? Would you be disappointed?
Yeah, I mean,
the answer is yes. Say yes.
Yes, especially since you're not Roger Clemens, who's coming in every 5 days and pitching a 7-inning shutout. You know what I mean? You're not like with him and the Astros at the end of his career where you're doing that.
Oh.
You know what I mean? You're just like, you need to bring it every time. And you know, if people aren't sure of what we're referring to, you want me to read the quote from yesterday and then what the Woj story from today?
Please do. And sorry for the little dig there at Dolan, but you know, he's annoying.
No, he knows we love him.
I mean,
so,
partially true, but right. Yeah, anyway,
at Dolan _J _Trump, not James Dolan. So that's just so everybody knows. He sponsors the jersey number trivia. You'll hear at the end of the show. So anyway, so yesterday, James Harden comes out and says, you know, this is reading a press conference clipping. So, you know, it never sounds like what you read it.
I can translate.
It sounds like in person. Yeah. So James Harden said, of course, I'm frustrated because we're not healthy. Where there's a lot of inconsistency for whatever reason, injuries, COVID, whatever you want to call it. I think everybody in this organization is frustrated because we're better than what our record is. And your response, Mike, is no shit.
Yeah, he's right. I mean, he's absolutely right. I mean, it has been a bizarre season. I mean, he's frustrated because he knows just how good Kyrie Irving is. And he knows with him together, he knows he's like, if I'm with Durant, Harden, and Kyrie, like, let's go, let's roll, let's get this thing going. And it's frustrating for his end to see games where it's, you know, 107-year-old Paul Millsap who can't play anymore. So I say it wrong, and he's not on the team anymore. And I said, "Why?" The second time I've said it wrong. And
in previous episodes you said Millsap, and I just let it go.
I said it wrong. I get DMs from people who said it Millsap. Okay,
really?
Calm down. Calm down. I did it wrong. I'm sorry. Anyway,
was it Coonies? I don't think it was Coonies.
It wasn't Coonies. I don't even know who that is. But I'm saying, you know, it's you got me all discombobulated. But yeah, there's true frustration there. I understand.
Well, you know what it is.
We're all disappointed.
Yeah.
We're 29-19. We're fourth in the East. We have a worse record than the Cavs. The Cavs are good, but it's like, it's scary. 2.5 up on the Hornets for the 6.
Everybody's so meshed together in the East too. But you know what it is? You see, he says the word COVID, and you know, whatever you want to call it, and then you know, people jump to conclusions. Oh, he's mad at Kyrie. You know what I mean? People do, which maybe he is. I mean, he has every right to be mad at him, whether you believe in taking the vaccine, not taking the vaccine, what Kyrie does or what he doesn't do, or whatever you believe. Harden has a right to be pissed off. He chose to come to Brooklyn and wanted to be traded to Brooklyn, not to deal with this shit. You know, if he knew that he was going to deal with this shit, he would have asked to be traded to the Sixers. He would have asked to be traded to literally anywhere, the Lakers, anything besides this. Yeah. You know, so who would volunteer to deal with this?
Right. He doesn't want to be the main guy, and he's doing, you know, backcourt.
32 years old. Yeah.
Right. He's going, he wants to win a chance. That's why he got out of Houston, is to come to this. And it's just, for a myriad of reasons, it hasn't worked out in this regular season, with injuries, with COVID, because Kyrie's not there, because the roster construction right now looks bad. It hasn't worked out. So, yeah, he's definitely frustrated. Yeah. Joe's been out, which has been a tremendous blow to the Nets. There's been no consistency, but he knows that deep down, this team can win a championship if they ever got their shit together and some changes are made going forward. They can do it. Now, like this report that the weather's bad. Okay. It's cold. Michael Grady said this on Twitter, who does the Nets. He's part of the Nets Yes Network crew. He's like, Philly's not Cancun. Like he's not going to Philly. It's not great there. It reminded me, Philly's not beautiful. Houston's
Right.
warmer, but you're going to Philly, it's the same weather. So
He'll end up in
he's
Miami
probably
somehow.
fed. He's fed up.
Yeah.
He's annoyed. He's in the moment. That got out. That's how it was released. It's annoying to hear that live. I mean, it makes you all worried. I think part of it. I think players enjoy it. I think they enjoy the intention. I think they enjoy hearing their name talked about and all of this crap. So, yes, of course he's frustrated with all of this. We all are.
Well,
Nets
you know what's
fans,
news?
who's not?
It's news because he might be gone. He can leave. He literally can. He might not leave, but he could.
He could.
And the Nets in this offseason, they have to prioritize Harden over Kyrie. They need to get him out of here. If there's no, you can't sit there and hope for the magical COVID fairy to make everything go away.
Well,
you have to just get him the hell out of here.
Nah, see, I would
concentrate on Harden and Durant and try to win a title next year with those two.
I would not trade Kyrie.
Count on
Irving.
Kyrie.
I would not trade Kyrie Irving.
Him.
You cannot count on him. That's true. But
I'm not trading. I'm not saying to trade him for a bag of chips. I'm saying trade him for something substantial in the offseason and build your team around Durant and Harden.
Here's the problem, man. He is so good. He's just so good. And when he's on the team, it's a different team and they're better. Mm-hmm. And it's just, they are an unstoppable force when he is there. And I believe in my heart, and I say this for beyond the world of the Nets and beyond the idea of vaccinate and the idea of athletes getting to play, entertainers getting exemptions. I'm just hoping that the world opens up completely and that there's no COVID and we can all live normal lives and everything moves forward and we don't have to worry about all this back and forth. And because of that, we're all living better lives as people. But on the same front, yes, Kyrie Irving is then part of the team because Alex, here's the part. He's 29 years old. He's in the prime of his career. And when he plays, he is dynamic and he is incredible. Yes. So you can't bail on it, man. I'm just telling you.
You have to though, because New York is not getting. Yeah. Go ahead. Yeah. Go. Finish.
But we don't know what's gonna. You're gonna say a year from now is the same rules are applied.
I don't know. New York is crazy, man. Like, believe what you want to believe in COVID, but we're kind of crazy with the restrictions in New York. And yes, in time it might all go away, but that might not happen for another 2 years. Like, obviously it's going to loosen and get slower and easier as the years go on. But by next season, is everything going to be like, the COVID fairy came and now we're all clear and like everybody can just go, unvaccinated people can go do whatever they want. They go to restaurants, they can do anything. It doesn't matter. That's not going to happen in September and October. That's just not, it's just reality. And how do you go into another season and waste another year of Durant and Harden's careers? Harden, if he sees that, he's not going to sign up for that. Why would he do that when he can go somewhere else?
No, I see that.
And then you're screwed and then your window's shut completely and you just wasted all these years.
It's a fair point of that. If that's still the case, that Harden wants to get out of here and he doesn't want to deal with that bullshit for another year. I mean, truth be told, though,
would you blame him? Would you blame him?
I could not blame him for that. And it would be a true disaster with the team. I mean, it would be an unmitigated disaster if all of that happened and Kyrie still can't play. James Harden wants out of here. I mean, the one saving grace is Kevin Durant still here and he's still part of the organization. Now he's aging, he's getting older, whatever, but he's still he still looks
not
great.
Healthy. Yeah,
he still looks. He's playing unbelievable.
Mm-hmm. I mean, listen, it wouldn't be a fault of the Nets if this doesn't work out because of COVID. It's not the fault of the Nets. It's not. It's just, of course, it's just shit luck. You know what I mean?
Terrible
it really
luck.
Is.
But to bring it back is it's still this season, and they're still in this season, and that's where my focus is. And I'll worry about the offseason when we get there. Yeah, it makes me nervous. If James Harden said, "I want to get out of here now," okay, that would be a problem. I want to leave here now. And the other part too is like, I've always said I didn't want to trade Ben Simmons for Kyrie Irving. I'd be way more inclined on the idea. You'll think I'm crazy because I genuinely, from watching Kyrie the last couple of weeks, he is so good. It's hard to imagine him not as a net. That I think from puzzle piece standpoint, Simmons for Harden makes a lot more sense than Kyrie does. Because Simmons is the facilitator. He's the point guard. He can get the ball to Kyrie. He can get the ball to Durant, just like Harden can. They're more of similar players to me in the point guard mentality. Now, they have different skill sets around that, shooting, rebounding, etc. Each guy different. But to me, I'd be more okay with that if we got down the road to it because Philly's just not signing James Harden. They don't have cap space to bring on $250 million.
You can get Tobias Harris.
That simple. After all that to get, oh my God.
No, it's just I don't know what's going on. That Six is another mind-boggling. They're just wasting Joel Embiid. He's not going to have a lot of prime. He's an injury-prone player. He's just it's bound to happen for him at some point where it's not, he's just going to fall off a cliff. He's just that kind of guy. I mean, I hope it doesn't happen to him, but it just, the writing's on the wall with him, his body, his whole career. And it's just, how do you waste a year of his career like that? He's still young, but like, what are you doing? You know, just trade him, trade Simmons for anything, get something, you reset your team. You know, the Nets might be in that situation this offseason with Kyrie. Like, how do you sit there and go into another season with this question? This year was so out of the blue with the vaccine, and I'm not showing up. I will show up. I won't show up. I'm vaccinated and I'm not vaccinated. I am here. I am not here. I'm not going to come. You can play. You can't play, whatever. But by this offseason, you have to have a plan. It has to be what, like, in my opinion, you have to get rid of him if he doesn't get vaccinated. If he really just won't do it, you got to get rid of him. Like, you have to. It's just that's just my opinion. And it's not a fault of the Nets. It's not. I know people want to make me feel like this Nets hater. I'm just being serious. Like, right, you got to keep Harden. Like, you got to keep, if you lose Harden and then you go into next year with Kyrie, who's aloof, not aloof, that's the wrong word. I'm sorry, the wrong word. But if you go into next year with Kyrie in this situation and just Durant and Harden's gone for nothing, what are you as a franchise?
I would rather have Simmons, Kyrie, and Durant and deal Harden. I'd rather have three guys.
Kyrie might not play.
He might not, but he might play and he might change. And I'm going to go on that hope. I can't. There obviously, if there was a deal in place that could get Kyrie and you moved him over and you brought in stars, there is no trade. There is no trade available, and there will never be a trade available where Kyrie Irving is being dealt to the other team and the Nets get something in return that's comparable. Now, if you're telling me it's never going to be because of a lot of different reasons, because of Kyrie and beyond just contracts, a pure sense of basketball trades, because of all the crap that comes around with Kyrie when he's there, it makes it for a different time. But I'd roll the dice. I'm in it. I'd roll the dice. I really would. At this point, there's no other. They are so in this. There are no other options. And for me, I'm worried now. Like, okay, let's figure out how we can get some shooting on this team. What's going on with Joe Harris? He got hurt his ankle on November. I think it was like mid-November. He was supposed to be out a couple weeks. Then we found out he needed surgery. It was going to be another 4 to 8. Now we've gone past that line. We don't know when he's coming back. What is going on with him? The Nets need him. The Nets need somebody that can spread the floor. The Nets roster right now is not very good. And it's just, this is what happens. Okay. If you sign 3 guys that make $200+ million together, or whatever it is, $160 million, your rest of your roster, a lot of it might not be as good because it's constructed because all the money is top heavy. So when you lose Harden, when you lose Durant, and you lose Kyrie, those role players that can look good around the stars, you got no chance. And there's no mid-level guy. The Nets don't have mid guys. Like Patty Mills is a mid guy. Joe is a mid guy, and that's it.
Yeah, you got to hope for the Blake Griffin resurrection kind of guy. You got to hope for a guy lately, like that. But he was good last year for you, but it was a 1 year wonder. Yeah, Aldridge has been good.
So that's the little Nets.
You got to hope Claxton jumps up and grows a little more, but he might be a trade piece. You know what I mean? And it's just, what are you going to do, man? And that's that I already said my opinion. I'm not going to say it again, but
I feel stuck in limbo with this team because they're 29-19. They're the 4 seed. It's all jumbled at the first couple of seeds. And I just know I'm like, there's 32 of these dumb games left in the regular season or whatever it is. It's like
dumb games.
Get me there.
Regular season.
Get me healthy. Get me there. Get me to the playoffs so I can see them play against the Cavs, see them play against whoever it might be, and let's get this going. And now we're just like, we are in a time where it's a bad moment for Net fans dealing with this and watching this. Mm-hmm. Should have beat the Nuggets. I think they should have. Meanwhile, down south in Miami, Knicks look like crap, and the Heat blow them out.
Garbage. And I don't know what it is with them. I really don't know what it is. I think it might be a little bit of fatigue. It might be a little bit of Thibs is just getting out coached on a nightly basis, or he's just too stubborn with the rotations. They don't play as well on defense as they did last year, even close. It's just a combination of all those things. And Julius Randle is becoming the butt of the jokes, and it's just not, it's really not right in a way, but he deserves a lot of blame, a lot of criticism, But the way that people are jumping on him, that you would think if you just browse Knicks Twitter tonight, you would think that Julius Randle was the only one who played poorly. Meanwhile, he didn't even have the worst plus minus on the team. That belonged to RJ Barrett. And everybody looks at RJ Barrett. Look at how he's ascending. He scored 17 points tonight. Or 18, whatever it was. And look, he's playing really well. And yes, he is. He looks like a star. He looks like the guy that we wanted over the last month. And that's great. But you know what? You can't criticize the starters and how bad the starters are playing, but then also say, but RJ Barrett is not part of that. No, he's one of the starters. You know what I mean? He's part of that unit. Mitchell Robinson's part of that unit, and they're playing terribly. And obviously, like Thibs said, everybody loves the backup quarterback. You know, the bench, if they played more minutes, they might get exposed. You know what I mean? It might be like Andy Chavez getting every day at bats. All of a sudden, you're like, well, okay, well, that's why he's just that guy who makes drops down the bunt and gets those crazy catches and defensive replacement late in the games for the Mets, back in the day. But it's just, of course, you can't, you just got to be, I just hate inconsistency. That's just what it is. And you know what? He's been playing poorly, but then you get people just finding pictures of him like, oh, look, he's not standing near the huddle. Look how bad of a teammate Julius. It's like, come on, man. Like, that's so out of context. And then you get people just piling on for likes and retweets on the guy. And yeah, he's played poorly, but if you're watching these games, he doesn't have a real point guard out there. Kemba looks like a shell of himself. Rose has been gone. He's got Alec Burks running the point. He's got Quickly coming off the bench. He's not a pure point guard. He's got nobody to set him up. He's setting up the offense. Randle and RJ are basically the point guards. And there's no rotations. There's no screen. It's a Fizdale offense right now. And it's like, how did we get back here where it's just Julius Randle standing here? And then all of a sudden there's 10 seconds left in their shotgun. It's like, oh, fuck it, I'll shoot. And that was the Fizdale offense. And we didn't have that last year. And we're back to that. And it's just, how did we get here? Yeah. You know what I mean? It's just, it's crazy to me. And that's why I feel like it has to do with the minutes. That's the only thing besides the point guards and the defensive intensity between Fournier and Kemba suck on defense, etc. But like, how are we this bad? You know what I mean? I mean, there are only a few games under 500, but I've been calm because we've been hovering around 500. So I'm like, all right, one little winning streak, we're right there. But now we're falling lower and lower under 500. It's getting kind of scary. We're now end of the January, early December, February coming. And it's kind of like, all right, now I'm starting to get a little concerned. You know what I mean? Now we can't dig yourselves into a hole this deep, especially with these big games coming up against the Bucks and all these other teams. That 4-game homestand was brutal, man. That really set them back, and a lot of close losses and a lot of games where Thibs, kind of blew it at the timeouts. The plays were terrible, and it's just, obviously they didn't hit the shots, but come on, man.
2 points to that. One, I think last year, all those close games, Knicks won those games. They're not winning them this year. The game against Cleveland of recent memory, that they had a nice comeback, they lost. That's the one off my top of my head. You could probably think more, but the games
Hornets,
that they used,
the Hornets wasn't close, but yeah.
The games that they used to, the Hornets was not. The game that they used to,
the Wolves, the Timberwolves,
the T-Wolves game. That's what right. Another game.
That's what I was thinking of.
Winnable. Those games that the Knicks won last year, those like 50-50 games, they're not winning them, and that's
what it was.
Discrepancy where instead of being a couple games up, they're a couple games down. And I just want to say too, Julius Randle embodies the 2 seasons, and that's why he gets the shit for it. Last year came out of nowhere, surprise. That was the Knicks, right? Came out of nowhere. Here they are as the 4 seed. Julius Randle was the Knicks. Now here we are the next year. Teams not winning those games. Teams slumping. Teams showing bad body language. Julius Randle embodies this version of the Knicks, and like it or not, he is it. Like, when people think of the Knicks last year, it's Randle's success. This year, it's his down moments, and that's where, right or wrong, that's what people think. Randle is the Knicks last in this, and people think of him.
Yeah, and just real last point on this from last year to this year. Last year, so I looked up the end of the Pelicans game last year at the Garden towards the end of the season. I'm sure you remember it very, very well. No, so the Knicks, hosted the Pelicans. I do remember the game very well. That's when you're talking about the game nobody played, right? No. It was end of the year. It was towards the end of the year when the Knicks were on that hot streak. One of the I don't know if it was a final game, but it was towards the end of the year. And it was the last time the Pelicans were at the Garden, and it was like they needed a 3. Knicks needed a 3 to put it into overtime. They had the ball a few seconds left. The ball's in Derrick Rose's hands. Drives the lane, Lonzo Ball cheats inside for some reason when Rose is driving the lane up, down 3, kicks it out to Reggie Bullock, hits the 3 in the corner. They go into overtime. Knicks win in overtime. That play is exactly what the Knicks are missing. A guy in the corner like Fournier should be hitting that open 3, and he hasn't hit it. And a guy like Derrick Rose who can penetrate, that's not Julius Randle, because Julius Randle is getting doubled everywhere he goes. So you need somebody else. RJ is doing it, but it can't just be RJ. It has to be somebody else. And if you're going to win, that's where Fournier is supposed to come in here. And Derrick Rose was part of that rotation, and it's crushing them. And Noel and Mitch haven't been healthy in the same game, it feels like, this whole season. And that's a big deal. You have 2 shot blockers who are always in the game. Instead, you have Taj Gibson, who's getting 1 million minutes over Sims. And then we're going down this road of what are we doing here? You know what I mean? So it's just,
the team sucked.
I digress. Thanks.
The team sucked.
How did we get here, Mike? How did we get
Well, I do want to mention too, I didn't say it before, but there was an Adrian Wojnarowski report, which is essentially Sean Marks and them talking, that James Harden does plan to say he will test free agency, but he's happy. He likes things. And it's not as doom and gloom as the reports out were before. But yeah, our team sucks.
Tell him we like him. Tell him we like him. Tell him we like him.
Yeah, I think it's just, it's real. He's disappointed in the season. He's upset at Kyrie. He's annoyed by it. He knows they're better than this, and he wanted to make a statement about it. He's going to test free agency because he's never done it before like that. He's going to have some fun. We'll see what happens.
Yeah,
but he's not hating it here, or it's I have to get out of here. It's not that. That's an extreme.
You can't hate on athletes for never being honest and then hate on an athlete for being honest. And he didn't even say anything that bad, So it's just, it's with Kyrie, everything's hypersensitive. With COVID, everything's hypersensitive. And everybody's going to always pick something like that apart. So I'm defending the Nets, and that's as you
should. The presser with Harden was funny when he was asked about it, and he was like, you could tell he was lying, but
yeah,
he was like, well, I didn't say it. I was like, okay, right.
What report? I didn't say the report. What report? I saw that too. Yeah, like, come on, dude. I hate when athletes play. That I don't like. Don't act like you didn't hear it, dude. You're on Twitter. You're on social media. Somebody told you. Like, come on. Like, you heard it.
I think he should shave his beard and just
that'd be wild.
That'd be wild. And just be.
You think he'd have to show his ID to get into the Barclay into the Clays? You think we'd have to show his ID to get in?
I hate it. I hate the Clays. I don't like
the Clays.
That.
The Clays.
I don't know.
Dolan J. Trump loves the Clays. He loves calling it the Clays.
Does he really? No, I'm joking. He must hate that. Boy,
well, he love hates it, kind of a thing.
He hates the Nets more than I hate the Knicks. Yeah. All right, we have an awesome interview coming up with Anthony Donahue. We also have our jersey number trivia. We have your poll question. But before that, as I mentioned, proud to have DraftKings part of the Bad Weather Fans family. It's about to say about it, part of the Bad Weather Fans fantasy, which it sort of is with football and things. But another great message here from DraftKings.
DraftKings Sportsbook is officially live in New York State with mobile sports betting just in time for football playoffs. Right now, you can place a bet from anywhere in New York with DraftKings Sportsbook, including from the comfort of your couch. To add to the excitement, DraftKings is giving new customers a special offer you don't want to miss. Bet just $5 on any playoff game and win $280 in free bets if your team is victorious. The wait is finally over. Head to the DraftKings Sportsbook app now to check out all of DraftKings' great promotions and features, including same-game parlays, which are really, really fun. Combine multiple bets from the same game for a bigger payout. The more legs you add, the more money you can win. DraftKings is safe, secure, and reliable. Best of all, you can deposit and withdraw your cash whenever you want. You are not stuck with that money in your account and can't get it out. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Use promo code BWF. That's BWF for Bad Weather Fans, Mike. And get 56-1 odds on any team. Bet just $5 and win $280 in free bets if your team wins. That's promo code BWF this week at DraftKings Sportsbook. Eligibility restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for full details. Must be 21 and older and physically present in New York. Gambling problem? Call 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY at 467-369. Almost got through all that without a mistake, but I messed up bets. But we were getting there. We're reading these reads. It's been a long time since I was in Connecticut School of Broadcasting.
You're going to say
we're getting there. We're getting there.
It's been a long time since I was reading.
Since I ever read anything. Yes,
you read a lot.
Nah, not really. I read, but not like I'm not sitting down reading a novel. I'll tell you that. It's been a long time since I've done that. If
Yeah,
I'm on
yeah.
vacation, I'll read. When I'm sitting by the pool and nothing to do, I'll read a book.
Hmm.
That's constantly one of my arguments with my wife. Why don't you read more? I'm like, okay, well,
Listen
I
to
don't know. I don't want
podcasts
to.
and bet with bad weather fans at DraftKings. Get the mobile book app.
You know what's fun?
Don't read. Don't read.
Me and my buddy Corey, we bet all these parlays all the time, and we send each other like these little cheap $5-10 parlays where we just bet like a million things. I've been putting like Julius Randle part of my parlay with triple double part of my parlay for like a few days, and I might give up, but I feel like he's gonna get. He almost got one the other day. That was it the Timberwolves game where he went something 9-9, and if they would have won, and he hit that triple double, and I also had something else like a over 3 threes of RJ Barrett and something else. And if he would have hit that, if they would have won and he got that triple double, I would have won over $1,000 for like a $20 bet, which would have been. I was like, like that game. That's why I was so. If anybody saw me on Twitter, that's why I was so mad. It was more than just the game. But DraftKings is great with the parlays, and I've been using it. It's awesome.
Yeah. So use bad weather fans, and then
BWF.
Tweet Alex. What's that?
Yes.
BWF. Yes. BWF. Then tweet Alex how you won, and he didn't. All right. We got jersey number trivia. We got poll question, but first, fun interview here with Anthony Donahue. He's one of the biggest Knicks fans you'll ever meet. If you're watching the video, you'll see his incredible background with all of his great Knick memories and Knick memorabilia in the background. So if you want to see that, it is on our YouTube page. But here is one of the original Knick content creators, Anthony Donahue. And as promised, excited to have on the line Anthony Donahue at Anthony MSG. Rough night for the Knicks, falling to the Miami Heat, the Brooklyn Nets, not playing with anybody, but still hold on tight, just cannot beat the Spurs. But a bad night for both of our teams. Anthony, how are you doing tonight, my man?
I'm doing all right. How are you? Thanks so much for having me on the show. And yeah, man, it's not a good night for the Knicks. It hasn't really been a good season for the Knicks. You know, we started off 5-1. It hasn't really been good since the last, 60 seconds of the Bulls game when we went to 4-1 in Chicago. And then, you have a stretch where we won 7 of 10, 8 of 11 recently, and you win in Atlanta, which Atlanta isn't playing well either. We go down to Atlanta, you win on that Saturday night, and then you look at the schedule and you see 4 straight home games for Charlotte, Minnesota, New Orleans, and the Clippers. And you say, yeah, you got a chance to go 4-0 because after those 4 home games, you got some really tough road games with games in Cleveland, really good team, in Miami, really good team, in Milwaukee, really good team. And you lose 3 of the 4 home games, and you're 0-2 on this road trip already. It's not pretty right now.
Yeah, thanks for coming on, Anthony. I really appreciate it.
My pleasure.
Yeah. Would you think that Thibs has sort of lost the team in a way? I feel like the Kemba benching earlier was kind of a little bit of a shock, maybe to even the players. Do you think there's anything to that at all, in your opinion?
I think it was a shock for sure. I don't think he's lost the team. I just don't think the team is that good. Could they be better with maybe some changes? Potentially, it's possible. But I don't think he's lost the team. I don't think I don't think there's any. I don't think of anything like that. I just think they're not playing that good. But I don't think it's a thing where Thibs lost the team. I know that's a thing that people in the media over the years, going back 20 years, and fans love to say this coach lost the team. Sometimes the team just isn't that good.
Yeah, no, when you were saying that, all I could keep thinking about in my head was Joe Judge and the Giants and just them playing at the end. I'm like, I think Joe Judge has lost the team. I'm
not saying it doesn't happen, but I don't think that's the case with this.
I hear you. Now, Alex is very pro Randle, and I can tell from his Twitter at Nick Central the last couple of games, he's kind of slumping a little on the Randle positivity. Where do you stand on all of this Julius Randle from last year to this year, and what's been going on with him? And then are you in the camp of this is a guy that the Knicks need to look to maybe they could chip out and trade and get some assets back or whatever that might be? Or, hey, let's ride Julius Randle. He was a star for us last year.
All right. So I think Julius Randle's a pretty good basketball player. Obviously I was excited when we got him. We were supposed to get Kevin Durant. That was what was supposed to happen, but it didn't. Randle's a solid pro. He wasn't that good in the 2019-2020 season. And I knew he had potential to be good. like, a really good NBA player. And then last year happens, and last year was one of the weirdest seasons in the history of the NBA, if not the weirdest season, playing in front of no fans. Then when they finally let fans in, the arenas had 2,000, 3,000 people. The Garden had 2. Some arenas had 3. Nobody really had full arenas, so it was weird. Mm-hmm. And I don't know. I've never played NBA basketball, obviously. I think he had a great year last year. He obviously did. I don't know if there was something to it with playing with no fans. I'm not trying to act like I'm that smart. I'm not. I do think there's something to it for him. Do I think it is for every player? No. I mean, Jason Tatum had a quote about this, about guys in the bubble. I don't remember the exact quote, how like some guys just be looking different. They'd be looking better without 20,000 people. And I wondered it. So here's when I started to think about it a lot. And I listen, it's different for me. I don't work for the Knicks, but I do a lot of work with the organization. I'm not trying to stir up controversy, bash guys. I got relationships with, whether it's everybody on the team, people close to players. But I wondered about the Randle and the fans thing. And I remember last year, the Knicks-Suns game in Phoenix. I went to it because I'm crazy. I was at that game. And that was the largest crowd for a basketball game during the pandemic. Most teams had 2,000 and 3,000. That night, the Suns let in about 9,000 fans. And now, granted, the Suns were in the finals last year, best record in the league right now. They're a great team. Boy, Randle looked shook that game. I had really good seats. I was sitting behind the Knicks bench, and I don't remember his numbers, but I don't recall they were very good. He just didn't look there. Played pretty decent the next game versus the Clippers. The Lakers played okay. We should have clinched the playoff spot. And the playoffs happened, right? And I was at a lot of big Knick playoff games in the 90s. I've never experienced a crowd like I've experienced for game 1 versus the Hawks. Now, it was a much younger crowd. It was, a lot of people. Not everybody was like me. I was at every game when the Garden opened last year. Not everybody was a psychopath like me. A lot of people had not been out of their houses in a year and 2 months.
Yeah,
so that crowd was crazy. And, you want to make a case that the Hawks defended Randle good? Sure. Bro, son was throwing up brick after brick after brick for 5 straight games in the playoffs. And I thought that was weird. And it was like, and then I started to think about my little theory. And again, I'm not claiming to be that smart. Do I think there's something to it that he was more comfortable with no fans? Possibly. I'm not going to sit here and say definitely, like one of these hot take dudes, bro. I'm too old for that shit. Do I think there's something to it? Sure.
Yeah, I mean, in game 1 though, that playoff series, they could have actually, they could have won the game. I mean, for some reason,
but he was still horrible though.
Yeah, he was. No, he was. I mean, they were in position to win.
We're just talking about specifically Julius Randle.
Just Julius Randle.
Derrick Rose was great that game. Derrick Rose ain't affected by anything. Derrick Rose is game winners in the playoffs, and he's like, sup.
Yeah. He gets hauled up in the air. Everybody's going crazy. Just like, yeah, what's up? Exactly. It's so funny. But but I didn't understand in that game, in game 1, where he brings in Ntilikina and Cole to guard Trae Young, and Trae Young hits the game winner.
It was terrible. I mean, we moved the game. I mean,
and
we're up 3 with 40 seconds left. Bogdanovich hits the 3. Alec Burks comes down and misses the jumper. Trae gets fouled. But the point is,
but you're over it.
Julius Randle. Julius Randle was terrible that game. Yeah, he was terrible the whole series, with the exception of a little bit of game 2 in the second half.
Yeah, no, I was at game 2. That was crazy. That OB alley-oop, that was nuts. That we jumped on. Me and my friends jumped on top.
It was
crazy. It was awesome. I just feel like, I hear you with the crowd stuff. I don't know, because he's played well in the past with like the Lakers or the Pelicans, not at this level of last year's all-star level, of course. But I feel like in a way, sometimes that the minutes are kind of catching up to him. I wasn't really part of the minutes police. I really hated it. I thought it was kind of crazy. Like, let them play. Yeah, obviously, I don't need to play like 42 minutes a night, 44 minutes, but 36, 35, sure. But he was playing more than that. Do you think it might be of catching up to him? You see his jersey is soaked like a sponge at the end of the game, and he's
that's how my shirt is after I play a couple pickups at Equinox. So I'm not gonna put too much into that.
How's the jumper? The jumper's good.
Jumper's good. I don't play as much anymore. I was playing a lot from like, obviously didn't play for almost a full calendar year because the world. Yeah. I started playing a lot again, and then I was playing in a Knicks charity game in early October, and I had a non-contact pulled calf muscle injury.
Oh.
And I'm like, man, like, granted, that could happen at 23.
The
I am
timeline jumped up and bit you. Yeah, one of those
yeah,
kind of situations.
it was just like that. And I haven't played. I've gone jogging. I shoot. I haven't played much basketball since October because I'm just like, I'm 38 now, man.
Not worth it. Yeah.
And obviously, listen, you can walk down the street and just trip. But the point is like non-contact injury. So, but my jumper's always good. Let me make that very clear.
Got it.
And then some guys, I always play to win. But you get some guys that pull up to the gym, they're like 52 on their lunch break.
And
like,
cardio.
Bro, it's war. Bro, no, but it's war.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's war.
New York.
Exactly. I get it. I'm 38 also. And, I was playing a lot of basketball pre-pandemic. It was like my favorite thing to do. It's like a mental release. You don't have to think about stuff. You can just play, relax, have fun. Yeah, it's 60 minutes to 90 minutes where you can just throw away the bullshit and just think and have fun. So I get that. And I've seen people that take it too seriously. And at moments I have, but I try not to. You mentioned those injuries. They sound like the big three of the Nets where something happens where somebody's out because some freak injury like that. But it's fun stuff. You had mentioned, the Garden in game 1 being real loud.
So what do you think of my theory?
Oh, well, no, I think you're on to something. I think it's interesting because I'm trying to remember in my lifetime somebody that was a good player, solid player, not a foundational player, but a piece in a puzzle of a team that could go far, right? That then explodes and becomes all NBA second team.
His 8th year.
It just it sparks like
Oladipo was kind of like that in a way.
A little bit of that where it just sparks and he takes off and he's all NBA second team. He's an all-star. The Knicks are winning games. They're ascending. They're the 4th seed, and then has a bad series. And everybody's saying, all right, first time leading a team in the playoffs, look bad, couldn't handle the moment, okay. But then to fall back and then like regress so much, I can't remember somebody having such a roller coaster couple of seasons like this. That I kind of buy some of it. That I don't think it's all of it.
Yeah, some of it. I don't think it's all of it.
It's true.
I think some of it. I think some of it. Oh, yeah, not all of it. That'd be
sure.
Wrong. That'd be irresponsible of me to say.
No,
that.
I'm not saying you never said that, but I agree. I think there's some of it that's there. I do. I do think some of it's there.
It's got to be like you watched the games last year, especially before they even let the fans in. When there was the blue tarp at the Garden, I do think it's probably. I never want to be one of those guys that talks like I know about playing NBA basketball. I've watched a lot the last 30 years.
You're sitting courtside every game. You see enough.
Close.
You went for your whole life.
But like it's definitely got to be way different playing in an empty gym than 20,000 people.
Of course. But I just it's kind of crazy to me that all of a sudden when he's 28 years old, 27 years old, to now all of a sudden be afraid of fans. You know what I mean?
I think he was so comfortable last year.
Mm-hmm. He was hitting big shots, but even in I guess when he hit that big shot against the Clippers last year, I guess there were fans there, but it wasn't a full
2000.
house.
It was 2000. Yeah. I was there.
Yeah. Oh, you were there? That was a great game. Yeah, that was a great shot. That was when everybody started to believe, like, whoa, like we could do something here, you know?
Yep.
But but it was empty gym for everybody too. You know what I mean? So it was kind of even playing field for everybody also.
It was.
But so and like I said, he's been around the NBA. This isn't like his 3rd year. So it's kind of.
So was he on like crazy basketball steroid last year?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what it is.
It is weird.
Yeah, the 3 isn't going down. I mean, the 3 is you can't defend the 3. He's just not hitting that anymore, and I don't know what that is. And that's why I think about the minutes where it's like, is his legs not with him? Because when you're shooting and they're not, and it's all about your legs when you're shooting.
Yeah,
if they're not there. It's not going to go in, and that's what I really don't get.
He does do a lot. He does handle the ball a lot. I still think he passes the ball well. I think that was the best thing about his game last year to me was his passing.
But there's nobody else that can penetrate. There's nobody else that's real. I mean, RJ's coming to his own. He's looking like a star. Like
he looked last month. He's been great.
But Derrick Rose being out hurts. Kemba being a shell hurts. Starting Alec Burks at point guard hurts. And
I feel bad for the shit that Alec Burks is getting. Alec Burks is a fine player. He's an 8th man. Can fans lay off Alec Burks? Like, come on. Like, okay, you want to
get on Lance Thomas or somebody like
that. Right. It's like you want to get on Julius Randle. That's fine. Whatever. Don't go after his. Don't say mean things. I don't like
his family. No, I'm not.
The family, the kids. That you're ridiculous.
Yeah.
But the fans getting on Alec Burks. He's a fine player. He's an 8th man. Like, why are you getting on Alec Burks? Leave him alone.
Yeah, I hear you. I just also feel like the adjustments, especially tonight, there were no adjustments. Spoelstra came out and he had a plan to defend Randle. He was going to double team him every time or act like somebody was going to double and flinch at him. And Randle didn't know what to do. It just, there was no adjustments, no play. It felt like there were no plays. I'm sure there were, but it just felt like there was nothing.
I know what you're saying.
Felt like a Fizdale offense where you're just like, here's the ball, go, Randle.
Down, you blinked. If you missed the first 2 minutes of the game because you were grabbing something to eat or a snack, we were down 9-0 to start the game.
Yeah, I didn't know.
Terrible.
Yeah, it was bad. It was bad. I don't know. It wasn't like the Knicks Heat games of old. And
now you got Milwaukee on Friday.
Yeah, it's gonna get rough.
Yeah,
it's
like I don't even know if we're gonna. I mean, obviously, there's still a lot of basketball we played. I feels like I've been saying that for a while since we haven't played well since we were 5-1. But like, there's a chance we don't even play in a playing game.
Yeah, I was being relaxed because with Mike on the show and on Twitter, I've constantly been like, guys, it's still early. We got time. Don't worry. Everybody calm down. They'll be fine. Because they were hovering around 500, but now they're starting to drop.
Well, we got to one game. We got to one game over 500 10 days ago.
Yeah.
And that's why I looked at, listen, I'm a big believer in one game at a time, but I looked at those 4 home games after beating Atlanta, Charlotte, Minnesota, New Orleans, Clippers. And I said, we're probably not going to win all 4, but we're winning 3.
Or at least 2.
And it was the opposite. We went 1-3.
Yeah, it was coming out in that Charlotte game, and what happened was after you coming out and got Bridges just went wild, didn't come out to start strong, and Charlotte just put the hammer down, and from there, the Knicks season has gone south from that point on.
And then you completely blow and then the next night would have been a nice feel-good win. Right. You know, they were up, they were down by a bunch to Minnesota. They come back, they take a 10-point lead, and they absolutely blow that. Then there were some bad calls at the end, but you blow that game. Thursday night was the first game I missed all year. First game I missed. And when I miss a game, which is rare, I don't follow it. And I was out to eat and I look up and the game happened to be on. It was middle of the third quarter.
Yeah.
I took a deep breath and I said, let me look up. And I'm like, we're down 20 to New Orleans?
Like, come on. Yeah.
Those it reminds me, because we're all the same age, reminds me, you know, when you would miss games when you were younger and there wasn't like, you know, scrolling on your phone every 3 seconds, like a personal foul Tyler Hero, and you want to see what happened. You had to wake up, or you see it at night and you see those scores. Such a different world. And, you know, you referenced the MSG being electric for the series versus the Hawks. And Alex Alex bringing up some of those Knicks Heat game from the 90s that were just wild. Is there one game in particular from those runs that stands out to you that you just, you know, you think back on and you go, that was my moment as a Knicks fan that I'll always cherish growing up in my childhood? Yeah,
for sure. There's a few. There's the first playoff game I ever went to, which was May 12th, 1999 versus the Heat. It was game 3 versus Miami. The series was tied at 1. And I was 15 years old, and I never experienced anything like that. Of course, you know, there's no cell phones, there's no social media.
Everybody's locked in. That's it.
There. You know, I was there 2 hours early, like always. I remember everything about that day. I remember, like, you know, New York by Rakim blasting. I remember the Knicks coming out to warm ups to Super Thug. I remember Spree didn't start. If you remember, Spree didn't start until
Super Sub. Yeah.
Until game 4 versus Indiana in the conference finals. You know, 2 minutes into the game, everybody in the crowd is yelling, "Put in Spree," and the Knicks win 97-73. You know, 19,763 fans chanting "Riley sucks." It was absolutely incredible. And then I would probably go with, of course, you know, beating the Heat in game 5 in 1998 to win the series after losing to them in 97. But I would say obviously Allen Houston shot, but that's obvious.
Yeah.
But the game that I think about a lot the most is game 6 in the 2000 Eastern Conference semifinals. The Knicks are down 3-2 in the series, down 18 in the second quarter, 15 at the half, and the Knicks come back to win by 2 points. Anthony Carter misses the final shot for Miami that would have won the series, and it was just an incredible game. It was an exhausting game. And the Knicks go down to Miami for game 7 and win that game by 1 point. Patrick Ewing's last time he won a series with the Knicks, he had the game-winning dunk. Had a really good game that game, had about 20 and 15. But those series were incredible. I would say every game was, to took years off your life, but that's a lie. Every possession took years off your life during those days. And I remember in the year 2000, I was in 11th grade when we lost to the Pacers in the conference finals, and I was devastated. Devastated is an understatement. I thought that year we were going to win it all. I was 16. I thought we were going to play the Blazers in the finals. And if the Blazers don't blow that lead in game 7 to the Lakers, maybe it is a Knicks Blazer finals. And we beat the Blazers twice that season. And I remember after we lost to the Pacers in game 6, going for a walk after the game, 16, all in my feelings about the Knicks, while other kids in high school are in their feelings about their girlfriends or their boyfriends. I am devastated about the Knicks losing. And I'm like, we'll be back next year. And to think of what's taken place the last 22 years since that game 6 of the year 2000, where this 16-year-old boy was absolutely devastated, to think what's taken place in the last 22 years is absolutely mind-boggling. Now, obviously, as a kid, I never saw a championship. None of us did. But every year you had a chance. Every year you knew in the springtime you had a chance. And that's all you can ask for. I don't expect to ever have a team with, LeBron James, Dwayne Wade, Chris Bosh, or the Warriors with Durant, KD, with Durant and Steph and Clay. That's fine. I don't need that. But you always have it. I always want a chance. And for the last 22 years, we've barely had chances to have competitive games after fucking Thanksgiving.
Yeah, a few playoff years.
It's been tough, man. Yeah. It's been. I love the Knicks. I probably love the Knicks more now than I did 22 years ago, believe it or not. And I live a dream life as a fan. There's no getting around that. But the losing sucks. It really sucks.
I have to say it because it's interesting to me, because I'm thinking you're telling those stories when the Nets lost to the Celtics in 2002 in the NBA playoffs. It was game 3 in Boston. The Nets had a 25-point lead. It was 21
you won
in the
that
fourth
series.
quarter. We did win the series. Thank you. We did win the series. We got swept by the Lakers the next year. But I always think back, because after that game, I was so upset. I drove to the Palisades Center Mall and I walked the mall, and I had to get it out of me because I had to just decompress and get out of there. And I want to take you into my world a little bit, because you're talking about all this losing, right?
I used to love the Palisades Mall, by the way.
Great food court. I would go around. I would take my hat off.
Yeah,
great food. One of the most underrated
there too, right?
quesadilla that you can get at that food court.
I'd always go to the store against all odds.
Oh yeah, no, it's a great place. Good movie theater. Good time for a teenager. But what, especially like, I not talking to girls, watching basketball, walking around the mall. But I want to say, because you said 22 years of just losing, right? So here I am as a Net fan, thinking back to 1993 when I saw Drazen Petrovic play versus the Rockets, scored 44. I fell in love. Here I am 22 years later, right? And I'm in this moment, and it's nauseating and it's scary, and I can't enjoy any moment of this regular season differently than a Knicks fan, right? But just knowing,
because you're going to be in the playoffs,
you're
going to have home court, probably.
But it's just
so much at stake for him.
But so much in this, like like just think about it. If this was, knew this was that moment in time where it was a possibility. Yeah. The odds of, like, for Net fans, every moment where it goes bad, it just it becomes catastrophized, because
and if you guys are healthy and all together, I don't think anybody beats you guys.
No, nobody. Yeah,
nobody.
Yeah, nobody.
It's the best offense of all time.
Yeah. Yeah, no, and to speak to Mike's point, it's kind of the PJ Brown moment when he tosses Charlie Ward. That series was such a big deal to us, because that was one of our windows where we thought we really had a shot. Like, legit, not like a dream. Like, we really thought we can take them. We
played the Bulls so well in the 96-97 season also.
Yeah, they didn't want to see us. They did not want to see us at all. But so that's where Mike's at right now. But I'm not going to cry for him. That's for sure.
Yeah, no, the Nets are the Nets are fascinating. Now, what's this rule? I mean, that the Nets, Kyrie could play and the Nets would get fined. Is that true?
It is true. I mean, I think that
they're not going to do it though. That would be a political nightmare, right?
It would. I mean, I would say, you don't put it past them. I would say not now. There's no chance.
Playoffs will do it. Yeah.
And I'm not trying to get into COVID stuff, but it is kind of weird that, like, for example, like, if Bradley Beal's not vaccinated, right? He can play in New York, but Kyrie can't. That's a little weird.
Yeah, the whole thing is bizarre. And it's not even from, like, a basketball standpoint. I'll say from a health and safety standpoint. Why can Bradley Beal, who's vaccinated now, but if you're unvaccinated?
Oh, did Bradley Beal get vaccinated?
I believe, when they made a rule in DC or something, and he got.
Oh, did they? So they got it.
Yeah.
But the point is,
but at first he didn't.
Why would, from a health and safety standpoint, right? you can come into the arena unvaccinated as a road player, but then as a home player, you can't. And I'm not trying to get into if you agree or disagree.
Who cares?
Yeah, exactly.
Just
it doesn't
be
make
consistent
sense
with it. Then Bradley Beal can't play here. It shouldn't be different because
he
agree. Lives in the District of Columbia. What's the difference?
Yeah, I think with this stuff, there's a lot of, regardless of what side you may fall on or how you feel about it, there's definitely some strange optics. I think we can all agree to that.
Yeah,
whether it's a reporter interviewing somebody 6 feet away and their interview's done and then they go hug.
Right.
What drove me the most nuts, and again, I can laugh about it now, was like last year, Mike and Clyde would walk into the Garden together. But then when they'd broadcast the games, they'd have a plastic thing between.
Right. They can go out to dinner, but they can't.
Come on, it
didn't make any sense. It's silly. No, it really is. And whatever. But another fascinating thing about you that how did you get on a Jadakiss album? How did that work?
That's a good question. I met Kiss at a Knicks game 11, 12 years ago. Always been a big fan since I was a kid in 8th grade. The first time I heard the Locks. First time I heard the Locks personally was on Life After Death on Last Days. Always been a big fan. I was doing the Knicks blog radio show. Mm-hmm. I met Kiss at a Knicks game. Just approached myself. We talked. I asked him to come on my show. He gave me his number. He came on, and we stayed cool. I got cool with him and Styles and Sheik, and they'd always invite me to the studio to hang out. And I would go there, and I don't smoke, but man, I would catch a contact, bro.
How could you not, right?
But it was cool, man. I literally I watched them. I watched Kiss make a lot of his top 5 Dead or Alive album. And then one day, his partner in crime, who recently passed away from stomach cancer, Jay Icepick Jackson, gave me a call and was like, yo, what you doing? I was like, I'm chilling. He's like, get to the studio. We need you. And
you're like, what?
They told me what they wanted. I executed it, and I'm there forever.
Yeah.
I'm on the album forever. I got credit as writing and vocals for it. I'm still waiting for my check from Def Jam. I'm not sure if I'll ever get it, and that's okay. I didn't do it for the money, but I did. It is funny. I always say I wait for my check from Def Jam. Sounds cool.
You're on the Aha skit. That's all. The Aha.
Yes, I am. Yes, that is. I mean, how many people can say they're on he's one of the greatest rappers of all time. How many people can say they're on a Jadakiss album? And I got to say my name twice on the whole thing.
Right. And that's the funniest thing, because I always call you the OG podcaster, because you were the original content creator from back in the day. Because I used to blog back in the day on Father Knickerbocker on MVN and different sites back in the day. And so I always knew who you were. And then
was I the only one? There wasn't many Knicks.
You were one of the
there was a million blogs. Right. But how many people were doing it vocally then?
Right. No, not many at all. And that's why probably when you introduced yourself to Jadakiss back then, he's like, hey, what's up, man? Nice to meet you. Now, if somebody comes up to him, be like, who the dude, chill. All right.
Now if somebody comes up to a Jadakiss, whoever says, I have a Knicks podcast or a podcast on food or a podcast on fucking blankets. It's okay, leave me alone.
Yeah. No.
But it was different back then. And I do. Yeah, I guess I was one of the originators, and I and I was consistent. I was doing 2 to 3 shows a week with a dope guest on every show. Mm-hmm. Not to pat myself on the back, but I fucking killed it.
No, you did. You definitely did. I gotta say.
Hey,
go ahead.
No, go ahead. I was saying 2 to 3 guests a week. A booking guest is.
I did it all on my own. I mean, I was having current players on, former players on, all the beat writers. Then I'd have Spike Lee call in, Jim Boeheim. I mean, it was crazy. It was crazy.
What was you walk around like you're the king of the garden, because you know everybody there.
Did you have fun interacting with the writers? And do you ever give them shit?
I had some issues with one writer that I was always cool with, but then he got mad at me because he's with Frank.
I was gonna guess it.
You know what I'm saying? I know Frank since I was 16 years old. I always looked up to Frank. I thought he was cool as shit.
No, he was awesome back in the day. Yeah,
slick black hair. He covered the Knicks. Mm-hmm. Italian dude. Dude was the man. And he the first Knicks show I ever did in 2005. 2005, bro. Frank came on, and I was cool with him. And then I don't know, he got weird towards me because I think he had a problem with a fan doing the media thing. But I always said I didn't want to be Frank. I didn't want to be Ian Begley. I didn't want to be Mark Berman. They're great. I wanted to do something different. And I remember I was covering, I had credentials for Knicks training camp in 2010. And at that time, I was in pretty good graces with Knicks public relations. And I remember Jonathan Soprano had said to me, he was the head of PR at the time. He was like, basically like, what are you? Like, because obviously at covering training camp, I'm there in a polo shirt and jeans. And
Right.
I'm there professionally.
Right.
He's like, what are you? And I said, I'm a fan that puts out a kick-ass show. Like, I'm not here to bash the team. Like, yeah, I said, you know,
be fair. Yeah.
we lose 7 in a row, I'm going to go crazy, but I'm not here to bash the organization, even though at times I'm sure I have. Like, a lot of things have happened over the years, but like,
Right.
I'm a fan. So I remember my line was, you know, the day after a big Knicks win, if you think you're happy, I'm happier. And the day after a bad Knicks loss, if you think you're sad and you're crying tears, well, I'm sadder and I'm crying more tears. So I wanted to do something different than everybody else. And he liked it. And the Knicks PR was good to me. They let me interview players. I was at training camp, you know, interviewing guys, but I stopped going to that shit. Well, that's weird. I stopped going to that because of like how I felt from Frank, mostly from Frank. You know, I stopped going. So I remember, I'll tell you one specific story I've never told publicly. It's not even that serious, but so it was 2010, so that time it's October 2010, right? My sister's in the hospital, the first cancer. She's 11 years old. I'm living in the hospital. So the only time I really left the hospital was to go to Knicks games or probably do Knicks related things. So now I'm covering training camp. I'm 26 years old. Just, you know, 11 years ago, I was living upstate on probation for selling liquor. Like, I'm living the dream right now. So obviously I had brought my laptop to practice, right? And there was no Instagram yet. And Twitter, you couldn't even post videos or audio yet.
Stages,
but I utilized Facebook pretty big 11, 12 years ago. I don't anymore, except for
no, it was huge.
pictures.
It was the first one.
So
yeah.
I brought my laptop and I brought my digital camera. And I did interviews with like Wilson Chandler, Danilo Gallinari, even Reggie Miller, Amari Stoudemire. And I talked to the player holding my digital camera in my own personality, like, yo, what's up, Gallo? Boom, 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 boom. Like 2-minute videos. And right after the interview, I went to the press room, plugged it in my computer, uploaded it to Facebook right away, my Facebook page. And basically Frank in front of the other writers was like calling me out. Like, you think you're some sort of journalist? What are you doing? I'm just like,
What a dick.
I know I got fans that follow me on Facebook. They know I'm at, you know, training camp. I'm giving them what I get.
Yeah.
And he was not happy with me. But I was like, I'm not trying to break any news. I just want to post the interview I just did with Gallo or Wilson Chandler. I ain't trying to break no news, bro. Like, you can break your story. I don't want to do that. I'm a fan that's putting out content. The only thing is now there's 6 billion of this shit. But back then there wasn't. So, but me, I am sensitive. I am, like a lot of people are, but I admit it. And at that time in my life, I was dealing with so much. Like, I'm getting yelled at, not yelled, but talked to like derogatory.
Getting sunned. Yeah.
by this writer who I once looked up to. Right after I upload these videos, I have to go back to the hospital as my 11-year-old sister is battling brain cancer, and he's giving me shit that I'm uploading some interviews to Facebook. And I went 3 or 4 times to that training camp, and I was allowed to go back to practices and stuff if I wanted to. You know, I wasn't getting paid to go, but I was allowed to go. I never went again. I hated the way he made me feel in front of people too. I never went back, and I could have, because I'm a good. The Knicks are great.
Yeah.
I never went back. And I never put myself in those situations again, ever.
Damn. Sorry.
Because the way he made me feel in front of people.
That's horrible. I mean,
what I was dealing with, like, I don't want no special treatment, but the fact that I was right from Tarrytown, I was going right back to New York Presbyterian to be with my 11-year-old sister who was battling brain cancer. I got to hear you're mad because I'm uploading a video to Facebook. That's the worst thing going on in your life right now.
Yeah, I'm sorry that you went through that, man.
Nah, it's all good. I was like, fuck, I ain't going back, you know.
Yeah, it's not worth
I
the
didn't go.
stress.
I didn't.
He's always been one of those guys that he jumps in people's DMs when they criticize him on Twitter and things like that. Even back when I used to blog back in the day, I kind of disagreed, like not disagreed, but before Donnie Walsh got hired, I was like, who is, what, like, who knows, like, why another source, because before that they were like, Kiki Vandeweghe is getting the job. Everyone's like, oh, Kiki Vandeweghe is getting the job. They didn't get it. Like, oh, another one's getting the
Twitter
job.
even around? Was it Twitter in 08?
No, it's just on the blogs. I was just
he
blogging
hit
back
you up
then.
on the blogs?
Well, he found my email and he emailed me like, who are you to question my credibility? I'm like, dude, I'm not questioning your credibility. I'm just saying, like, I don't believe it until I see it now, because it's now the second guy everyone's saying is getting the job. Like,
Oh,
and then he got the
wow.
job, and I said, oh, congrats, good job by you. That's
That
all.
was 2008.
Yeah, it was a long time ago, man. I was blogging back then.
I got Twitter in 09.
That's why I got on Twitter, was to promote my blogs, and then I just stopped blogging, and then I just was on Twitter, and then found, me and Mike found each other on Twitter, and then we started the podcast.
Are blogs even a big deal anymore?
I don't think so. I think it's more connected to the podcast. It's like,
I think they kind of go hand in hand, where it's like, we'll get real inside baseball on how to get your podcast to get downloads. If you have a blog page and you can link it back, and then you kind of cycle it through, and if you have content on there, it helps people drive to the page. But I find what you say inspiring, and I mean that, because there's a lot of podcasts. There's a lot of good Knicks.
There's a billion.
There's a lot of good net podcasts. But Alex and I pride ourselves, and I really believe this, that there's no Knicks and net podcast. And I hate the Knicks.
Yeah.
I despise the Knicks. I respect your fandom.
I've always hated the Knicks.
I've always hated the Knicks. Yeah.
So you're like a real Nets fan.
I'm not a real Nets fan. I embody them in my blood.
If I got Kenny Anderson on the floor right now, you'd go crazy.
I've talked to Ken. I've talked
have you had him on?
Yes,
I've not had Kenny Anderson on.
We had Kerry Kittles on the show.
We had Kittles on.
Yeah.
Yes, I would say I'm very connected to the net. And that's a sensitive topic for me, because I'll admit I'm sensitive about it. And I'll say I hate the Knicks because it comes out of being a young kid, seeing the Knicks, seeing all the credit.
Where did you grow up?
I grew up in New Jersey.
Oh, in New Jersey. Okay.
I grew up in Jersey, 15 minutes.
Season tickets to the Nets.
Season tickets to the Nets, the whole deal. I love the Nets. And it just, it always, this is what annoyed me, because I know how much Knicks fans are great. And I will say, like, Nick, I love it, and I really do, and it boils down to just being jealous, and I understand that. But the part that always made my skin crawl was then not getting the respect back in receiving it, and saying, well, just because you are a Net fan doesn't mean you cherish and love basketball the same. And trust me, I get it. Continental Airlines Arena is not Madison Square Garden. It won't be. But you know what? I
saw the Knicks lose a lot of games there. Oh my!
And I hated Net games, because it fucking became the Garden in Jersey, and I despised it. Which is why, like, my favorite Knick play in the history of Knicks will always be. What's that?
No,
it was 2000 and it was 2001. The early stages of.
I know. Wait, time out. I know what it is. If I finish this, do I get a prize?
You get a big hug when we meet.
All right, ready? I was at the game. It was November 16th when Kid threw it off the board.
Yes.
Wow,
that was very good. He throws it off the backboard,
and
at that point, I'm going, like, the Nets are good, and this is something else. And I'll never forget that game, because Van Gundy was the coach, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
He's on the bench.
A few weeks later.
He takes the game plan, he rips it and throws it to the side. It's like, you cannot run with the Nets. They're gazelles, Kittles, Kenyon, RJ up and down the court. And that moment where Kid threw it off the backboard, to Kenyon, and I looked at my dad. I said, "Holy shit, what are we doing? This is not the Nets. This is different."
Yeah, no, it was crazy, man. I was at that game. I got there by taking a bus from 42nd Street.
Makes sense.
Yeah, and that play, and y'all kicked our ass that game.
Yeah, like 20 or something. Yeah.
But that play, that's when I was like, thought the same thing, like, yo, this Net squad is no joke. And it's funny because as a New Yorker, I really love Steph. So I almost felt bad that y'all was good the next year, because you had almost the same roster. Obviously, Kenyon was hurt his rookie year, though, right?
Kenyon was hurt, and then the addition of RJ, Kittles was hurt. So they had talent, but Kid put them all.
But there's no way they were. If they had the same roster the next year with Steph,
not as good.
Maybe they're a playoff team. Maybe that's
right.
Kid was he's just on another level. That's not fair to Steph either. But yeah, he's just Kid.
Right. It's not. And also,
Yeah.
Steph in the NBA now would probably be a 2 guard.
Right.
Yeah.
Even though he could pass, but like I would play Steph off the ball now. and just be like, yo, just cook motherfuckers. And he could.
Yeah.
And
he
I,
can't run a
I
team
love
now.
when we
Yeah.
got Marbury, man. I was
Me too.
so excited. And look, even if you go back to the Marbury years, I don't even blame Marbury. Like, I mean, obviously he played roles
He
in
did.
them.
Yeah. He had some things that he can get.
He did.
blamed
Oh,
for.
absolutely.
Yeah.
But God, the rosters weren't good either.
No, they had some talent, which is crazy today. Like Crawford and David Lee, like Wilson Chandler. You mentioned before.
Yeah, they did.
You know, Eddie Curry had some years where he was pretty good. You know,
I thought like if you go back to that one year in 2004, they were 6. Wow, you know, only Knicks fans would throw a party at 16-13. We were 16-13. I like that starting lineup with Marbury, Crawford, Tim Thomas, Kurt Thomas, Nazi Muhammad. They were playing pretty good basketball. And then they were 16-13. New Year's Day, the Nets come in the Garden and smoke us, and then we ended up only winning 33 games. So, you know, there was other years, you know, a little bit later on, you know, like you say, you brought in David Lee, still had Jamal, you know, Eddie Curry was good for a year, Nate Robinson, Channing Frye, just, you know, Zach Randolph, Quentin, it just nothing worked.
Too many players.
It seemed that way.
There was no continuity. You would hear Channing Frye talk about, I heard him talk once about him coming in as a rookie and coming into this team that was just, what is going on? People aren't paying attention. It's kind of like the movie Eddie when they walk in the beginning of the movie and they're all over the place. And he said Malik Rose took him to the side. He's like, listen, Brooke, this is not how it is in the NBA.
Yeah.
This is just here. You know,
but if you look at that roster when Channing was a rookie, you look at the names in that roster, you would think it was a professional roster.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know,
and there were so many players on that roster that year. They made so many trades every 2 months. There was a trade. It was crazy.
And I'll tell you what, this is why I'm done being excited about coaches, even though I do love Thibs. I was ecstatic about Larry Brown. I thought that was it. I thought we were going to be champions in 5 years. That, you know, welcome home, Larry. I was at the press conference in 2005. I was 21 working with ESPN radio. I was there and I believed. I drank the Kool-Aid, you know, welcome home, Larry. And the press conference, he talked about riding the train to the Garden. It was great. Yeah. And Isaiah and Dolan took the helicopter to meet with them in the Hamptons. Like it was perfect. And then the season
they
started.
had Lenny Wilkins also, winningest coach of all time for 5 minutes.
Lenny.
Don Nelson.
Don Nelson. Yeah, exactly. It's not about the
good
coach.
defense.
That's what it is.
Yeah. It's not about, you know, listen, that's why I said, you know, like I understand people's gripes with Thibs right now, but, you know, fire not like, listen, I know not every team is like the Spurs with Greg Popovich. You know, you had Jerry Sloan, you know, with Utah for 10 plus years. You had Sean Payton with the Saints and Belichick. It doesn't happen that much. But Jesus Christ, you can't fire a coach every year and a half.
No, you can't. But at some point, you know, you can't, focus your roster around a 64-year-old coach. You know what I mean? You have to worry about the future. Yeah, that's the problem. That was my problem with hiring him to begin with. But last year he looked great, but now it's kind of like, well, maybe we should have gotten somebody like Atkinson or just kept Miller for another year. Like I was thinking, you know, but last year was so fun and they had to end the streaks. It was good to end the playoff droughts and you know, they had to get that out of the way. So I don't know. I just want them to win. That's all.
I know, and it's tough.
A lot of season left. Yeah.
It's tough, man. Like you think back to opening night, and like I said, you start the year 5-1. Oh, that felt good, man. You know, you go into Chicago. I went to the game in Chicago. You go into Chicago, you get that win. That felt good. And you beat New Orleans, and you come back to the Garden. I blame, you know what? I blame the Bing Bong stuff. It's obviously, it's just like it was
silly. It was
so silly. Then it was very, and obviously the younger Knicks fans, and I don't want to be old, you know, but like I remember when we beat the Sixers early in the year, and the way the Knicks fans were acting. I mean, I'm sure they were all between the ages of like 17 and 22.
They were trying to go viral. Yeah.
So it's funny you said that. There was a video on SportsCenter yesterday, a SportsCenter Instagram page, of a Wizards fan throwing a tantrum after their loss last night. Right. They had a heartbreaking loss to
Kennard, game winner. Yeah.
And obviously, if they blew a 35 lead, and obviously as a Knicks fan, if that happened, I'd be devastated. But I feel what fans are doing now is fans are trying to go viral with how they react to either heartbreak or jubilation.
Right.
And I feel that they wouldn't act like that if there wasn't cameras around. Now, I've been watching Knicks games and Yankee games, Ranger games. I was 8 years old. I fucking cheer my ass off, but I don't do anything. I mean, I guess some friends might think I do some crazy stuff, but like, I'm not cheering because the camera's on me.
Right.
And if we have a bad loss, and if I do have a meltdown, I'm not doing it because the camera's on me. So a lot of fans now are doing things, whether a player makes a big shot, big goal, home run, they know the camera's on them. So they act way extra. And I'm not saying they're not happy. And I'm not saying that Wizards fan wasn't sad, but there's no way you're acting like that if you knew the camera wasn't on.
Right. It's more organic. Like what I was saying with that Sixers thing outside and then the Bing Bong stuff. It's like, it's a regular season game. I get the playoffs. It was kind of a bottleneck there also with the construction. Everybody was kind of stuck in that little crap there and whatever. But the Sixers, you don't, when the game ends, you have your moment then. Like, I used to have season tickets to the Jets. I went to like every game with my dad. And like, you have these bad losses. You're upset in the game, but as you're walking out, you're just walking out with your head down. You're just like, you leave the game and you might be cheering on the ramps on the way out, but you're not walking through the parking lot. Like, let's wait till we get outside. Now everybody jump up and down. You're not doing that. Like everybody look around, you're not doing that.
Yeah,
that's why it's so phony. Yeah.
Right. Exactly. And that's what I had a problem with. I thought I think a lot of these sports fan videos is just coming from, I don't think there's a person in the world that roots for a team harder than I root for the Knicks. And I think a lot of these sports fan videos are complete fraudulent. I do.
Yeah. It's got to be organic in the house the second it happens. Like there's a video of when the Saints won the Super Bowl, when they did the pick six in the Super Bowl on Peyton Manning, and they somebody caught a dad going, like that's real. Yeah. Like that is real. Like it just happened in the moment.
So real that the people saw how great that was. Like, oh man, let's take that and let's do it ourselves. Right. Even if it isn't as real, look how many views that got. We can use this and we can
thirsty
take it. Yeah. Well, Anthony, go ahead.
No, and I think a lot, and I said this after we beat the Bulls the next morning. I said it in Chicago. I said, I notice all these influencers now, quote, they're all riding with the Knicks so hard. Where are they now?
No.
All these people that, were using the Knicks. Now, if you want to say, like myself, I've been doing Knicks stuff for 17 years. I've been a diehard fan for, 30. But all these other influencers were like using the Knicks the first 2 weeks of the year because the Knicks were hot. Go preseason 4-0. They were the hot ticket. 5-1, and people were using the Knicks brand to elevate their brand. But where are they now? Where are they?
Jay Williams? Yeah.
Where are all these people that cared so much about the Knicks the first 2 weeks of the year? Where are they now? They're very quiet. We're suffering right now.
Yeah.
But they're gone. They're gone.
They are. Well, Anthony, thanks for coming on. Really appreciate it. We got to do this again sometime.
My pleasure. Anytime. Let me know. I'm always down. You know what I'm saying? I'll be at the game, on Monday. I'll be there all week. I'm missing the game. Ironically, I'm missing the game February 14th. It's Valentine's Day. I guess you could say I'm in a newer relationship, and I don't think a Knick game would fly on Valentine's Day. And then I realized, me and my crazy memory, if you followed me, I don't recall ever the Knicks being home on Valentine's Day because it's usually All-Star Weekend.
Right.
And this year All-Star Weekend is a week later.
Because football's pushed back.
So for anybody that's been, especially guys that are big basketball fans, you're probably usually with your girl and it was All-Star Weekend on Valentine's Day weekend. Mm-hmm. So I'll be missing the Valentine's Day game. I do remember the Knicks. The last time I recall the Knicks, I could be wrong here. The last time I recall the Knicks playing on Valentine's Day was Jeremy Lin game in Toronto. That was Valentine's Day because
the game winner.
Because the perfect pun was Valentine's Day.
That's funny. Well, you should probably take it. You listen. My parents actually, my dad obsessed with the Jets season tickets. My parents' second date was going to the Jets game versus the Bills when O.J. Simpson broke the rushing record in the snow, and they got married. Still married now. So,
that's awesome.
So maybe you should take her to the game. Maybe.
Oh no, I don't think a Knick game. I brought her to the game on Sunday. Yeah. I don't think a Knick game is flying on Valentine's. I think next year, if they're home on Valentine's Day next year, I think so.
Oh, okay. Oh, so it's going to be there next year. Okay, let me not get you in trouble right now. Let's just. No, it's all good. Plus, I could use a game off. I deserve that. Yeah,
it's as much as I love going to the Garden. When you're losing like this, sometimes a game off is good for your mental health.
For sure.
Yeah, that's why the Nets rest players. I get it.
So
give it harder to break. Well, Anthony, appreciate you coming on. First person to ever, I could say a moment, but there was a good net one, and you knew the dunk.
isn't that crazy? But come on,
impressive.
how crazy do you think I am that I knew that?
That is next
You're a
level.
Historian, true historian.
That is pretty awesome. Seriously, that you knew that dunk.
I knew
that
it was
a moment?
that play, November 16th. It was a
I don't remember
Friday
that.
night.
Yeah,
It's a
that I
Friday
don't
night.
remember.
The date is crazy that you remember.
The Knicks played. You can even look it up.
I'm not fact checking you, but
No, I got nothing in front of me right now. So let's check. Let's see how good my memory is. The night before, the Knicks beat Miami at the Garden, and the game before that, the Knicks beat the Blazers at the Garden. Y'all
Then
can
they
look it
ran-
up.
Then they ran into the
2001.
hot young Nets.
Yeah, we won both those games on Tuesday and Thursday, and I remember I got tickets to the Nets game that Friday because I was 17. I was working in Lower Manhattan, and it was like 2:00 that day, and I'm like, I think I want to go to the game tonight, but I didn't really buy tickets online yet, so I walked to J&R Music World, had a Ticketmaster outlet there. So I went to J&R Music
little
World.
ticket master in the window. Like I
Yes, right by. It was actually right by Ground Zero. And I went there, and it was open, and I asked if they had any seats for the Knicks Nets game that night, and they did. And they printed them up right there, and paid for them. And
who was the leading scorer for the Knicks that night?
I don't remember.
Oh, okay.
I don't remember that. But I
Mark
remember that.
I'm going to say Mark Jackson.
Sprewell with 25.
We had 25 that game. Oh wow.
Yeah. Nobody else scored over 13.
What was the
We,
final?
109-83 Nets.
That was a weird year. Opening night that year was versus Washington. Michael Jordan's first game back. I was there. That
Jason Kidd was 12, 15, and 6 in that game.
That was a weird year because we actually started to play well when Camby returned from injury. But Jeff Van Gundy, the Jeff Van Gundy news, that was nobody saw that coming.
Yeah.
Like you saw, there was no reports. That just
he was just burnt. He was like, I'm done. I can't do this.
I think he knew the writing on the wall. I think he knew. Now, nobody thought the organization was going to go in a tailspin for 21 years, but I think he saw what was about to happen, unfortunately. I mean, that roster that year, to be honest, you still had Spree and Houston in your prime. You still had Kurt Thomas in his prime. You still had Marcus Camby. I feel maybe they probably couldn't have been that bad. But then you had Shandon Anderson, Howard Isley, Clarence Weatherspoon that weren't
Travis
traded.
Knight. Yeah.
Travis Knight, White Lightning. It was a weird.
Well, they never bottomed out back then. They never were like, what they were a couple of years when they were tanking. You know what I mean?
So that's the thing. So the next year, the 02-03 season, McDyess gets hurt in preseason.
Yeah.
And then,
yeah.
So then you're like, all right, let's just tank for LeBron. But because they played so hard, they still had Allen, Spree, and Kurt. And Don Chaney. Looking back, I hate that I hated Don Chaney. I would love to.
Yeah, he was just a nothing coach. He was just a blah. I'm a coach. Like he was just
right. And that year he coached well. So that year instead
Nets
of
made the finals.
What's that?
Another net final deal.
Nets lost to the Spurs in 6. But
Don Chaney was a coach of the year before he was a Knick, right? He was a coach of the year somewhere.
He was. But what I'm saying, to your point of the Knicks never bottoming out, that season, the Knicks, instead of winning 22 games and drafting LeBron James, Carmelo Anthony, Chris Bosh, or Dwayne Wade, they overachieved. They barely missed the playoffs with Othello Harrington and Spreewell and Clarence Weatherspoon and Big Buckets Lee Nalon. They win 37 games. They get the 9th pick, and they draft Big Mikey Sweetney, who did absolutely nothing in the league. So had they did a lot worse, maybe they end up with Melo or even a Bosh, but they don't. So it's like you're right. As bad as we've been, you never really bottom. You were never bad enough. I mean, 14, 15. And you get the
or you didn't have the picks, or they didn't have the picks. It's either they traded the pick.
Like 05, 06 with Larry Brown. I remember that year we started off 0-5, and then when it got to we were 3-20. I remember I was working for 1050 with Brandon Tierney, and then it was like, oh shit, we don't have our draft pick from the Eddie Curry, because at first going into that season we thought it would be a 7 or an 8 seed. But then all of a sudden it's like December, you're 3-20, whatever the hell record we were. You're like, whoa. We're 3 and we don't have our draft pick.
Yeah, this sucks. Yeah, there's no hope, nothing, and that's
Right.
why
And you end up getting the 20th pick that year, and you take Ronaldo blank, man. When it's
and it's
tough.
a
It's
mess.
tough.
You know what? That's what Knicks fans today they don't understand. This is not a bad year. Those were bad year. No hope, no cap, no nothing, no draft picks.
And listen,
That's
any
bad.
Knicks fan has
Right
the right
now,
to
we're
be
okay.
frustrated
We're okay.
about this year.
Yeah.
But try winning 23 games when you don't even have a draft pick
For the
and
next
you can't
3
even
years,
trade. Yeah, try that. I mean,
Yeah.
right now the Knicks are 3 games under 500, and granted, that's not good, and that's not worth a parade down the Canyon of Heroes. But you know how many times in January the last 20 years the Knicks are 25 games under 500.
Mm.
And I'm not saying they're gonna, but you win 8 of 11, you win 7 in a row. I'm not saying they're gonna, but maybe they will. You're in the 4 seed, so it's not as bad as you realize.
No, it's not. And again, Anthony, thank you for coming on Bad Weather Fans. I feel like we can talk all night.
My
We
pleasure.
probably will once we end this. But I appreciate
Guys.
you coming on, and hope to see you on here again. Even the Nets fan agrees that you were good.
Yeah, thank you, Anthony.
My pleasure,
Enjoy
guys.
it.
Anytime, hit me up.
All right, be
Thanks,
good.
man.
All right, later, y'all.
Later.
All right, take care, Anthony.
Peace.
Thanks, man. Thank you again, Anthony, for coming on Bad Weather Fans. Enjoyed it. We will have to do it again. I love your memory of the Nets. It's better than mine, which not many people can do. So that was super cool and impressive. All right, we have the poll question, and then we got our jersey number trivia. So, Alex, take it away.
Okay. Every week we do the poll question at Knicks Central, where I give a poll question and I read some responses. So, Knicks fans, do you think the Knicks should trade Julius Randle? Comment why. Don't hit and run. Yes, no, or it depends on the deal. Mike, what do you think won?
The answer should always be depends on the deal.
Right. But Knicks fans hate Julius Randle right now. Well, there's a good portion of Knicks fans. I don't want to say all Knicks fans, but there's a good portion of them. So 45.1% said yes. 20.7% said no. 34.2% said it depends on the deal. I lean towards no, but like you said, it depends on the deal, where it's like if we're getting somebody insane for him, then of course. But I'm not trading him straight up for De'Aaron Fox. I'm not trading, then we're just treading water with less assets. And what are we doing here? Maybe not straight up, but obviously if you're trading for De'Aaron Fox, it can't be straight up. So that's what I'm saying. Don't just do that, because then you're just, now I got De'Aaron Fox and RJ Barrett. Now we're the Kings in New York. And like, great, that's awesome. Now we have less draft picks. Yes, and they stink. They lost by 170 points to the Celtics, who we beat twice this year.
Who stink?
Yes.
Every team sucks.
Every team sucks, even the Nets. That's what
sucks.
Suck. The only team that's good are the Miami Heat.
Oh my god, the Nets got to start. Anyway, let's
go. Okay, some comments. Let's see. We have our boy Tim Morera. He's at Tim_MORERA. The regression is too drastic from one year to another. He's more similar to the player he's been most of his career in comparison to his one standout season. Think we need to sell now while his value is still somewhat high. See, I don't think it's still high. Do you think it's still high, Mike? I don't think his value is still high.
I mean, it's not as high as last year, but I think that's the part that confuses me. Not about your question. I get your question. I don't know what's the value for. What do you get in return? I think this offseason, they're going to explore it. I mean, they're going to be Leon Rose is going to pick up the phone and go, "Hello, Hawks.
Hawks.
Gave us Cam Reddish. What do you like?"
Yeah.
He's going to he's going to be on the market. But now I'm like, the only team that would want Julius Randle is a contender, not a rebuilding team. It doesn't make sense. So I don't know what you could get.
Yeah, I mean, this is part of why I said if you've been following me or this podcast, I respect Julius Randle for taking less money, and I still think he'll work it out. I still think they should keep him, et cetera, et cetera. But there really was no point in extending him before this season. You really needed to see him prove it a second year before you pay him. And that's what didn't really make sense. And it kind of made sense. The deal made sense because it was less than what he would have gotten if he would have waited and then got paid. But if he puts together another year, that's another all-star season. Then you're like, okay, because if he comes into this year and he has this season, you're like, all right, well, goodbye, Julius. It's been great. It's been real. Maybe do a sign and trade and deal you somewhere. But now, you have him. And if he really falls off a cliff, you're sort of stuck with him. But I don't think he will. I think he'll turn it around. I think he'll be fine. I think he's a good piece. You need guys who are really good. You don't have to trade everyone who's just really good and not great.
I thought of something interesting, Alex.
Yes.
Be curious to hear what you think. Boy, I love pondering Knicks stuff. This is so much fun.
Yes.
we said before the podcast or before the season started, we went on this podcast and we said the key to the Knicks' success this year would be RJ Barrett getting better. If he's getting better, the Knicks are going to be better. Why has he gotten better and the Knicks have gotten worse?
That's a very good question.
That was really good. I thought that I went, wow,
that
Mike,
was
you
a very
really
good
know your
question.
stuff.
But honestly, since he's turned it around, they were playing well besides the last week, because from December 15th through January 16th, they were 15-5. 15-5?
No, I don't think it
not
was that
15-5. No, there were 5 games over, whatever it was.
Okay.
I just messed it up. Whatever. There were 5 games over
Goonies.
500 in that time span. Whatever it was 15-5. It was 15-10. That's probably what it was.
Goonies.
So Cooney's, thanks. And since then they've lost a bunch of close games. He had that miracle 3 with the Celtics, but since that stretch, they and Anthony talked about that too. Since that stretch, they've lost those 4 games at home. They lost all these games, at close games. Some they were blown out like tonight, and now we're here, and he's still playing better. So you can say him playing better has made the Knicks better because it did in that time span. But there's also other factors to it. You know what I mean? Thibs has looked a little lost at times. He's, Julius Randle obviously is not himself. He's not hitting his threes or his mid range like he was last year. And it's just. You just make a good point. I mean, I don't know. I just feel like if this season tanks out and RJ Barrett continues to ascend and he starts, averages solid 20 plus points per game, 20-6. Yes, it's disappointing, but you can, at the end of the season, wrap your head around like, all right, but we got RJ Barrett. You know what I mean? He's our guy, and here we go. And he might not be a superstar, but he can be like a Dame Lillard. You know what I'm saying? Like, we got our guy here. You know what I mean? This is our guy that was built around him, So does that answer your question?
It does. That was really good.
Thanks. That was off the top of my head. Okay, your boy, Leo Valentin, at Leo Valentin. It depends on who they're getting. He's willing to defer to teammates, and he's a good 2 or 3 option. To win, you need good players at every position. Trade Evan, Kemba, and see what you get in free agency. Trading Evan and Emba, I was going to say. Trading Evan and Kemba
not happening
is going to be very difficult. You might be able to trade Kemba because he'll be expiring, and teams will be like, all right, I'll take him and then buy him out, whatever. Yeah. But
Evan's untradeable.
Yeah, he is. But he can be a decent role player off the bench. It's just a very expensive one. Let's see. We have our boy Jamaican Paulie. He's at Cole_me_Faust, F-O-S-T. Depends on for who, honestly, and we have to factor how they fit with RJ. But long story short, Julius needs to go, if not this year, next year. Then we have another one of our boys, Trav B. Ryan, at Trav Brian Music. I want to see him with a point guard first. It's a very, very good point because he has not had one this year. Let me see if I can find some other. Our boy Hospi. He's at Hospi. No, because of what we get back for him. Best he gets us back at the moment is another mid-level quote-unquote star who won't be able to carry his team any further than he has. Fox, Siakam, Sabonis, Turner, etc., all not doing anything better with the surrounding cast. I guess technically this means depends on the deal, but with what's on the table currently, it's a no. See, I wouldn't group Fox with Siakam, Sabonis, and Turner. I think Fox has more of an upside than those guys. What do you think? You think Fox has more an upside than Siakam, Turner, and Sabonis? If he doesn't, then there's why are you trading for him? For Randle,
I don't know. I mean, he's not a great shooter. He can get to the basket. I don't know. He's not solving problems.
He's not
like
Kyrie. You're not
upside.
signing Kyrie. Yeah, like it's not that.
That's such a weird one because it's like I think those guys are what they are. I don't know if there is maybe Siakam because he's just kind of so unique. I like Sabonis a lot. I think Sabonis is a good piece on a contender rebounder, but I mean, if the Knicks like Sabonis for Randle, you upgrade a little bit. I don't know. I always think back to we had said like, who would you rather have? And in the beginning of the year, 2 years ago, it was an answer. Then earlier in the year was an answer, and now I think there is no answer. Who would you rather have, LeVert or Randle?
Randle, definitely.
But remember that it was LeVert, not even close, and then it was like it's Randle. He's all NBA second team, and now it's like I don't know the answer. Anyway,
and then I love this answer. We'll top it off with this. Our boy Coach Fa at Fahim Insurance. So the question is, our poll question, will remind you, is would you want to trade Julius Randle? And, give me your answer. Don't hit and run. And his response is just nope, period. That's classic Coach Fa. I love him. He's great. At the Knicks Corner, him and Danny B, the host their shows. They're great. There's a lot of comments. Thanks everybody for commenting. I can not possibly read all of them. We had almost 1,000 votes on that one and literally 90 comments. So check me out at Knicks Central. I tweeted it out around 12:48 p.m. on January 26th. So you can see all the comments. All right, jersey number trivia time. Mike, are you ready? Dolan, sponsored by @Dolan_J_Trump. Buy his merchandise. Back in the day, we started our jersey number trivia. We're testing each other on, let's say, episode number 32. I give you a 32 on the Nets. You give me a 32 on the Knicks. But now we're on episode 101, which we actually could reset and start doing 1s, 2s, 3s, 4s through it. But
then what's coming. So
but we know, we can kind of mentally, we can cheat. Even mentally, without even looking, you can kind of think about, Chris Childs, something like that. Number 1.
Right.
So Dolan J. Trump sends it to each of us. And who wants to go first today?
It's up to you.
Let's see.
I'll read to you first.
Okay, let's do it.
He wore number 18 during the 2013-2014 season in New York. Any guesses?
Roger Mason? No, not him. No.
Wahoo.
Go, keep going. I think I know who it is.
He appeared in 31 games and made 12 starts in the backcourt.
Was it Brewer? No,
not Jim Brewer.
Not Jim Brewer. Not Corey Brewer.
Sorry.
No, I don't know. Go.
He played for He played for 8 different teams during his 13-year career, including Sacramento, Milwaukee, Memphis. That's a pretty good impression. San Antonio, Detroit, Orlando, Miami, and what is that? Oh, the Knicks.
Orlando, Miami. Jeez, they bounce around. All right, keep going.
His best years took place in Sacramento. He averaged 12.5 points and nearly 5 assists.
Number 18, Sacramento. I don't know, but I don't know why John Salmons is in my head, but he was never a Knick, but he was always traded at the deadline for like 4 years in a row or something.
His best, one of those guys. That is not the answer.
No, it's not.
Did I ask you this one? His best years took place. I did that one. He was drafted. He has a lot of questions this time. He was drafted 28th overall in the 2004 draft and was a two-time champion. Doesn't say what it says champion. Maybe it's the NBA, NFL. I don't know.
Probably champion with the Heat. Number 18. It's killing me. 2000. Okay, let's think about this. 2000. What year? 2013, 14.
I lost
12, 13.
2013, 14. Yep.
Okay, so I want to say Sasha.
Nope.
No, keep going. No more hints.
Let's go back.
It's not Sasha.
He has something in common with Melania Trump.
Something in common with Melania Trump. Oh, where's she from? I don't know.
That's you.
Damn. Fuck. I don't know. I can't think.
Bino Udrich.
Oh, yeah, that wasn't even close to that. I totally forgot about him. I was excited about him at first too, by the way.
We all are. All right, I'm ready.
Who isn't excited about Bino? Oh, this is a tough one.
You're being
all right. No, seriously, this is a tough one. He wore number 22 from 2014 to 16. His only 2 seasons in Brooklyn.
2014 to 2016, number 22. Okay. No idea.
That's it. It's the only clue you get.
Right.
Too bad. He made 35 starts at shooting guard in the 109 games he appeared in.
Okay, nothing.
His career lasted 3 seasons, his final year playing in Houston. This is like really tough. To be honest, this is like they gave you the most obscure guy.
But 2014 to 2016?
Yes, number 22. 35 games, started 35 games as shooting guard, played 109 games in 2 years. His career lasted 3 years.
4. What is he doing?
So two of his 3 years were in Brooklyn and one was in Houston.
Mm. Oh yeah. Let me just Google this real quick.
Yeah. No, he's not really Googling. You can look at our YouTube page.
My
Yeah,
hands
bad
are-
with the fans. He started alongside Darren Williams in the 2015 playoffs against the Hawks.
Okay, that's the clue.
That is
Yeah.
the clue. That's still tough, man.
Oh. Okay. That's the clue. I should know it.
Maybe it'll click.
I mean, if
He
it was in
drafted-
the playoffs versus that Hawk series, I can remember watching it.
yeah, but
He started he started,
That's what he said.
and all the young Net fans will help me here.
It's kind of generic. He started alongside Darren Williams in 2015 playoffs against Atlanta. Did he start every game? He didn't say. He just said he started.
Right, but he's still
It could
in
have been
that rotation.
But if you're starting in the playoffs, you would think you would remember.
and then he
Oh, yeah.
ended in Houston. Oh man! All right, where did he go to school?
He was drafted 44th overall by the Timberwolves in the 2014 draft after playing college ball at the same university as Bryant Reeves, because I was thinking country. It's a big country.
Okay, so he went. Oh, is it
Big country.
backcourt?
I had his
It's not.
jersey, by the way. Big country. I still do.
Is it a Graham?
No, it is not a Graham.
We've done this before. Okay, so I think he went to Oklahoma State. If I'm not,
I don't even know where.
I think
big
it, but I'm
country.
not positive. So, shit. Okay,
So 22, 14, 16,
That was it?
2 seasons. Yeah, that's it.
I don't
35
get some.
starts.
I don't get some clue like he's something in common with Donald Trump Jr. or something.
Mm,
Gotcha.
no. He has the same initials as my co-host on Bad Weather Fans.
Oh man, Michael
So-
Beasley. No, I'm just checking.
That's yeah.
Man, Marvin Bagley,
No.
Milton Bradley, Mario Batali.
No. Uh,
I don't know.
Markel Brown.
Yeah, that's
I would have
okay.
never gotten. That
No,
was
but
too
if I
hard.
mean, yeah, I guess he started.
He started, I guess, whatever.
Yeah, I did. I don't remember that. Is that?
Mm.
I don't know.
That's
Why
it.
don't I remember that? I okay. All right. I am not doing well at this. Well, he's going out. Fuck you, Dolan.
He's going on those. Yeah, he can't catch us on the normal ones because
Which is
we're,
fair. Which is fair.
Yeah, you gotta go wild. I want to go wild a little further back. Like give me a obscure 80s guy. or
Yeah,
something.
that's more fun. Do some
Yeah.
research. I got to see
Like
Brian.
let me guess.
Reeves.
Let me guess. Like Rick Carlisle or something on the Knicks back in the day.
Virginia,
something-
UVA.
Yeah. No, there you go.
I got to see where Brian Reeves went to school. Was it Oklahoma State? Oklahoma State.
Yeah, look at you. I really do have his jersey. I gotta tell
You
you.
can't see that.
I can't see it.
You
When
have
I was
his
a kid,
jersey.
and when I was a kid, and because the Vancouver, I was obsessed with collecting jerseys. I have a million jerseys, random teams, even not just Knicks. And when I was a kid, I was always playing basketball, and I was in camp, and I was playing with the counselors. It was pretty good basketball, and I was just hitting jump shots, and I was I was wearing his jersey, and they started calling me Little Country. They'd be like, "Oh, Little Country's hitting the jump shots,"
Right.
and it just became my nickname the whole summer, Little Country. And I still have the jersey because it's cool. It was the Vancouver Grizzlies.
Oh, those are
It's
fun
like-
jerseys.
Yeah.
Grizzlies.
I
are
wish I
fun.
had Abdul Rahim. That would have been a little more exciting or Greg Anthony on the Grizzlies. That would have been fire. But
There's still
fucking-
time.
there's still time. I can still get it.
I mean, it's not. I mean, I think. I don't know. don't
I have
know
my
if that's
bucket
right.
list jersey coming, by the way. I told you. My bucket
Yes.
list jersey is on the way, ordered. Patrick Ewing Dream Team jersey, authentic. That's going to be the one I wear now forever to games because my Patrick Ewing champion jersey from when I was a kid, it's a little stained and worn out now. It's over. I'm not gonna throw it out, but it's my jersey. I can't wear that anymore as a 37-year-old adult. It's over.
It's funny though
And-
because you can't throw it out.
I can't.
This is something I get into with my wife all the
Oh,
time.
me too, dude. She's like, "Can you get rid of your jerseys? It's taking up my closet." I'm like,
Not
"You
even-
mean
well, all of my
75 to
shit.
90% of the closet
Yeah.
you own, like your stuff." Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, sorry, guys.
And I don't. My wife listens to the podcast. I don't know if she's gonna make it all the way to this part, so we'll
Yeah.
go for it. Yeah, she gives me shit on that all the time.
Oh,
like
she's like, "Throw
I have
out
a
your
I have a
jerseys."
I have a basket of my shit, and it says towels and
Cards,
programs and cards. It's like that stuff's not going anywhere.
No, that's part of you.
That's-
They don't understand,
no.
man. They don't get it. I have a bunch of stuff when my parents moved out of their house and moved down to Florida. Tubs of my stuff that was just in my parents' house. I put them in her parents' my wife's parents' attic, and it's just sitting there now. But I want to organize my cards and just bring my magazines, my Sports Illustrateds, autographs, random crap. I'm not getting rid of that stuff, man. No chance. No chance.
Just like our sports teams, no chance.
No chance in hell.
Nets have a chance.
That's what you
Knicks
got.
have no
Like Vince
chance.
McMahon, no chance. Exactly.
Bad Weather Fans, episode number 101. Thank you to Anthony Donahue for joining us here on the episode. Thank you to DraftKings, our sponsor. Use our promo code BWF, which stands for Bad Winter Fahrenheit.
Yes.
I'm tired.
Big winners finally. Yes.
Big winners finally.
Yes. There you go.
Marshawn Brooks. That's another MB.
Yes. That
would have been a good guess. Like
Marshawn Brooks.
I'm just all day. I'm going to be thinking of MBs. You know what somebody once called me? Never mind. You know what? Fuck it. Let's move on. Bad Weather Fans, download the podcast. Use our promo code. Alex, have a great night. All right.
BWF on DraftKings. Thank you, DraftKings. Thank you, Anthony. Thank you, Mike. Knicks suck. Nets suck. Have a good day.
Bye.